The Dom Perignon hits the imported Italian tile with a sickening crash, a sound that rips through the fragile piece of our 7th wedding anniversary. Shards of green glass skate across the floor and the champagne. The good stuff I'd splurged on, froths and pools like a dying beast. My hands, slick with its sticky spray, are trembling, but not from the shock of the dropped bottle. No, they shake because of the screen of Olivia's phone, still clutched in my left hand, illuminating a truth far more destructive than shattered glass. Julian, shirtless, a smug, self-satisfied smirk plastered on his face. The timestamp 11:47 p.m., the message beneath his leering selfie. Can't wait for tonight, beautiful. That promotion is ours. See you in hours. The acrid tang of spilled champagne, a scent usually associated with celebration, now mingles with the cloying sweetness of the vanilla candles I'd lit hours ago. They flicker mockingly on the dining table, the meticulously prepared Coke au vin cold, the crystal glasses empty, the chairs set for two still neatly tucked in, forgotten, just like our anniversary, just like me. He sent that picture, that disgusting, possessive message, at the exact moment Olivia was supposedly working late, hunched over spreadsheets, finalizing the damn presentation for his promotion campaign, the one she'd been obsessed with for weeks, the one that had consumed our evenings, our weekends, the oxygen in our marriage. My lungs burn. It's not the heartbreak I expected, not that dull, crushing ache I've read about. This is different. A razor-sharp fury, cold and precise, is crystallizing in my veins. It's cutting away the 7 years of shared laughter, whispered secrets, the comfortable rhythm of our life together, leaving behind something hard, something unyielding. Surgical precision. That's what I feel, the kind an architect needs when the initial design is flawed beyond repair, when the only option is to demolish and rebuild from a stronger foundation. Upstairs, tucked away in the worn leather briefcase I've carried since my first job, are the papers, divorce papers. I had them drawn up 3 months ago, a contingency plan filed away after the first lingering scent of unfamiliar cologne on her clothes, the first too-long business dinner with Julian. I'd almost convinced myself I was being paranoid, overly jealous. Almost. Now, the universe, in its cruel, ironic way, has handed me a deadline. Olivia's company, Blackwood & Sons, is voting on a massive merger tomorrow, 18 hours from now to be exact, and Olivia, my ambitious, driven Olivia, needs my signature on an amendment to our prenup by midnight tonight. An amendment that, conveniently for her, would secure her significantly increased stock options post-merger, regardless of our marital status. She thought she was playing chess, moving her pieces, securing her queen. She forgot I knew how to play too. She chose Julian, his promotion, their sordid little triumph over 7 years, over us, over this night. A grim smile touches my lips, tasting of bitter champagne and colder resolve. She made her choice. Now I'll make mine. My freedom for her future. It seems like a fair trade. The timer isn't just on her merger, on her stock options. It's on our marriage. And the clock has struck midnight for Olivia. The scent of vanilla and betrayal is choking me. I need air. I need Sophia. I kick a shard of glass across the floor, the sound sharp and satisfying in the sudden silence of our ruined anniversary. The papers in my briefcase feel heavier now, not with the weight of sorrow, but with the undeniable heft of justice. The shredder in my home office whirs to life, a hungry mechanical beast devouring Olivia's ambition one strip at a time. The unsigned prenup amendment, the one that would have feathered her nest quite nicely, disappears into its churning teeth. It's a small, symbolic act, but it feels monumental, the first domino. My phone feels cool and steady in my hand as I dial Sophia's emergency line. She answers on the second ring, her voice calm, professional, even at this ungodly hour. Sophia, my college roommate, the one who'd seen me through bad breakups and worse hangovers, now one of the sharpest divorce attorneys in the city. I'd given her a heads-up months ago, a just-in-case scenario. It's Daniel, I say, my voice a low rumble, devoid of the tremor that still plagues my hands. It's a go. File the papers. 9 a.m. sharp, before the Blackwood & Sons merger vote. Consider it done, Daniel. Evidence packet ready. Everything timestamped, geotagged. It's damning. Good. I'll call you with confirmation. She pauses. You okay? Never better, Sophia. Never better. A lie, of course, but a necessary one. Strength is the currency now. I end the call and walk back into the kitchen, the scene of the crime. My crime. Her betrayal. The air is thick with the ghost of champagne and the louder ghost of what we used to be. I systematically begin cleaning up the glass, each piece a tiny, sharp reminder. The front door clicks open at 1:23 a.m., 17 minutes until her midnight deadline for the amended prenup. Right on cue, Olivia stumbles in, her usually impeccable makeup smudged around her eyes, her blonde hair artfully disheveled in a way that screams not late night at the office, but late night somewhere else entirely. Her designer trench coat is askew, a button undone. "Daniel, what are you doing up?" Her voice is a little too bright, a little too breathless. "God, what happened in here? Smells like a frat party." She tries for a laugh. It catches in her throat. "Just a little accident." I keep my back to her, sweeping the last of the glass into the dustpan. "Car trouble?" I ask, echoing the excuse she'll undoubtedly offer. "Yes. Can you believe it? Flat tire in the middle of nowhere. Took ages for roadside assistance." She's talking too fast, her hands fluttering. Classic Olivia when she's cornered. I turn then, slowly, meeting her gaze. Her eyes, usually a clear, confident blue, dart around the room, avoiding mine, landing on the cold dinner, the wilting flowers I'd bought. The guilt is a fleeting shadow, quickly replaced by practiced nonchalance. I hold up her phone, Julian's shirtless image still glowing faintly on the screen. "Interesting text from your boss," I say, my voice flat, devoid of accusation, heavy with a finality that makes her flinch. "Happy anniversary to us." The color drains from her face. Her carefully constructed composure shatters, much like the champagne bottle. "Daniel." That's not." She lunges for the phone, a desperate, panicked movement, but I'm faster. I step back, holding it out of her reach. "Don't bother, Olivia. It's all backed up." Her eyes widen. "Backed up to the cloud. My secure cloud. Everything." I let the words hang in the air, each one a nail in the coffin of her lies. "The texts. The photos. The lovely little video Julian sent you from his hotel room in Chicago last month. The one wishing you were here, not with him." Her breath hitches. "Oh, and the hotel receipts. The Ritz in Miami, the Four Seasons in Austin. All those vital client meetings you had to attend. Very thorough, your boss. Always booked a suite with a king-sized bed. For strategy sessions, I presume?" Her mouth opens and closes, but no sound comes out. The fight has gone out of her, replaced by a dawning, sickening realization. "You have." I glance at the kitchen clock, the one we bought together on a whim in that little antique shop in Vermont. 17 hours and 36 minutes until the merger vote. Until your stock options vest. Until your carefully planned future solidifies. I take a step closer, my voice dropping to a near whisper, but each word is laced with steel. "You need to decide, Olivia. Do you want to negotiate the terms of our divorce quietly, amicably even? Or would you prefer I forward my little evidence packet to the Blackwood and Sons Board of Directors? I'm sure they'd be fascinated to learn their lead marketing executive, the one spearheading their image for this billion-dollar merger, is not only committing adultery, but is also sleeping with her direct superior, who also happens to be a married man. Bad for optics, wouldn't you say? Especially when his promotion is also on the line." Silence. Thick, suffocating silence, broken only by the frantic ticking of that Vermont clock, counting down the seconds of her rapidly imploding life. She stares at me, the woman I married, the woman I thought I knew, now a stranger with a mask of desperation. "You wouldn't," she finally chokes out, her voice barely audible. "Wouldn't I?" I raise an eyebrow. "You forgot our anniversary, Olivia. You celebrated his promotion in his bed while I sat here waiting for you. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." I watched the fight drain from her, replaced by a chilling understanding. The game has changed, and she's no longer in control. The 17-hour countdown has begun, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can finally breathe. The air is still tainted, but it's my air now. The marble lobby of Blackwood and Sons is a symphony of controlled chaos. It's 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes before Sophia is scheduled to serve Olivia. Men and women in expensive suits, faces etched with a mixture of ambition and anxiety, hurry past, clutching briefcases and coffees. The air hums with the nervous energy of the impending merger vote, a deal that will make or break careers, fortunes. My arrival, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit that usually reserves itself for client presentations, not marital demolitions, goes largely unnoticed. Perfect. I spot them almost immediately, huddled near the main elevator bank, Olivia and Julian. His arm is around her shoulder, a gesture that might look supportive to an outsider, but to me it's grim possession, a smug claiming of territory. Her head is bowed, her usually vibrant blonde hair looking dull under the harsh fluorescent lights. Their whispered argument, sharp and urgent, bounces off the polished granite walls, snippets reaching me like poison darts. Can't believe he'd ruin everything. Have to fix this, Julian. Julian, he's older than I remembered from the company Christmas party. His carefully cultivated tin-looking sallow, his politician's smile, the one that could charm investors and disarm rivals, strained at the edges. He's saying something soothing, patting her shoulder, but his eyes are darting around the lobby, assessing, calculating, always calculating. He sees me first. His smooth, reassuring monologue falters mid-sentence. That practiced smile flickers, then dies, replaced by a flicker of, is it fear? Good. I start walking towards them, my footsteps echoing with a purpose that feels alien yet invigorating. The manila envelope tucked under my arm, containing copies of the divorce petition and a concise summary of my evidence packet, feels like a shield, or perhaps a weapon. Daniel, Julian exclaims, his voice a little too loud, a little too hearty. He detaches himself from Olivia, taking a step forward, extending a hand that I have no intention of shaking. Didn't expect to see you here. Olivia mentioned you were feeling a bit under the weather. His eyes flick to Olivia, a silent question, an accusation. Olivia visibly stiffens, her face paling further. She won't meet my gaze. Funny, I say, my voice calm, carrying easily in the suddenly quieter space around us. Several people nearby have paused their conversations, their curiosity piqued. She told me she was working late on your promotion campaign, Julian. Said it was crucial, right down to the wire. I let my eyes linger on him. Which one of us is lying, Julian? Or perhaps you both are? His extended hand drops. The mask of affable boss is gone. Now it's just a man cornered. Look, Daniel, he begins, his tone shifting to one of forced reason. Whatever Olivia's told you about last night, or about us, I'm sure there's a simple explanation. I cut him off with a humorless smile. She's told me nothing, Julian. Absolutely nothing. Which in itself is rather telling, isn't it? I pause, letting the weight of my words sink in. People are openly staring now. The pre-merger buzz has been replaced by a more focused, predatory silence. But her phone, her phone has been quite the chatterbox. It told me everything. Olivia makes a small choked sound, her hand flying to her mouth. Everything, I repeat, my gaze locking onto Julian's. His eyes are narrowed now, hostile. Including the details of your little side arrangement, the one where you agreed to split her rather substantial merger bonus. A nice little kickback for all her hard work on your campaign, and in your bed. A collective gasp ripples through the onlookers. Julian's face tightens, a muscle twitching in his jaw. He looks like he wants to lunge at me, but the public setting, the watching eyes, hold him in check. He's a man who understands optics, after all, or he used to. That's a ridiculous accusation. He snarls, his voice low and dangerous. Is it? I raise an eyebrow. I have the encrypted messages, the ones where you discuss the offshore account you were planning to use. Very prudent. Very discreet. The elevator beside them dings, the doors sliding open with a soft whoosh, announcing its arrival like a punctuation mark to the drama. In the sudden, stark silence that follows, as if all the air has been sucked out of the lobby, my eyes are drawn to Olivia's left hand. It's trembling, clutching her purse so tightly her knuckles are white. And her wedding ring, the simple platinum band I'd slid onto her finger 7 years ago, the one she never, ever took off, is gone. The pale, untanned skin where it used to rest is a stark, undeniable testament to her choices. A small detail, perhaps, but in the grand, crumbling edifice of our marriage, it's another load-bearing wall collapsing. She didn't just forget our anniversary. She'd already started dismantling our life together, piece by piece, ring by ring, lie by lie. Olivia looks up then, her eyes finally meeting mine. They're filled with a desperate, pleading terror. But it's too late for pleading. The gears are in motion. Sophia will be walking through those very doors in minutes. The lobby is no longer just a passage to offices. It's become a stage, and the first act of Olivia's downfall has just played out to a captivated audience. Julian looks utterly defeated, his carefully constructed world imploding before his eyes. He glances at Olivia, a look of pure venom, as if this is somehow her fault alone. Teamwork, it seems, only extends so far when the ship is sinking. The ding of another arriving elevator cuts through the tension. My gaze flicks towards the entrance. Sophia, right on time. She spots me, gives a subtle nod, and then her eyes, sharp and discerning, fix on Olivia. The wolf has entered the fold. The digital clock on my phone reads 10:17 a.m. I'm sitting in a small, sterile waiting room at Sophia's firm, the scent of expensive coffee and impending legal battles thick in the air. My own coffee, untouched, grows cold on the glass table beside me. My phone buzzes. It's Sophia, not a call, but a text, short, to the point, just like her. Divorce filed 9:01 a.m. papers served at her office 9:58 a.m. process server confirmed receipt by Olivia Hayes. And get this, Julian Thorne's wife, Eleanor, called us an hour ago. Saw your name on a preliminary conflict check from an old corporate file. Wants to file against Julian. She hired us too, effective immediately. Turns out your little birdie sang to her last night after you confronted Olivia. A slow, grim satisfaction spreads through me. Eleanor Thorne. I'd only met her once, a quiet, elegant woman overshadowed by Julian's booming persona. It seems my confrontation with Olivia had an unintended but not unwelcome ripple effect. Olivia, in her panic, must have called Julian. Julian, in his arrogance, must have dismissed her fears or perhaps tried to spin his own narrative to Eleanor. Clearly, it backfired spectacularly. Sophia's firm was now representing both wronged spouses. Poetic. The next few hours pass in a blur of legal jargon, strategy sessions with Sophia, and the signing of more documents than I'd seen in my entire architectural career. Sophia is a whirlwind of efficiency, her team moving with practiced precision. She outlines the strength of the adultery clause in our original prenup, the one Olivia had clearly forgotten in her haste to amend it for the merger. She was so focused on the upside of the merger, stock options, she completely overlooked the downside of getting caught with her hand in the cookie jar, Sophia had said, a wry smile playing on her lips. The original prenup is ironclad, Daniel. Adultery, if proven, triggers a significant forfeiture of assets in your favor. And your evidence? It's not just a smoking gun, it's a full-blown cannon. I try to focus on the legalities, on the strategic moves, but my mind keeps replaying the scene in the lobby. Olivia's missing ring, Julian's crumbling facade, the whispers, the stares. It wasn't triumph I felt, not entirely. There was a hollow ache, a phantom limb where 7 years of marriage used to be. But overlaying that ache was a harder, clearer emotion, resolve. This wasn't just about ending a marriage, it was about excising a cancer. It's just after 1 p.m. when my phone buzzes again. This time it's a news alert from a financial reporter I follow. Chaos at Blackwood & Sons. Merger vote delayed indefinitely amidst internal scandal. My heart quickens. I click the link. The story is sparse on details, citing unforeseen personal matters involving key executives, but I know. Eleanor knows. And soon the world will know. Then another text from Sophia, a single link to a live news feed from outside the Blackwood & Sons headquarters. I tap it, and the scene unfolds on my screen like a real-time soap opera. The boardroom. It's supposed to be the inner sanctum, the place where billion-dollar decisions are made in hushed, reverent tones. Right now, it looks like a war zone. The live feed is shaky, clearly from a hidden camera or a daring reporter who's breached the perimeter. And there, in the center of it all, is Eleanor Thorne. She's no longer the quiet, elegant wallflower. Her face is a mask of cold fury. Beside her, a man with a professional-grade camera is snapping photos, the flash illuminating the shocked faces of the board members. And who are they focused on? Olivia and Julian, caught, utterly, irrevocably caught. Julian has Olivia backed against the enormous mahogany boardroom table, his hands gripping her arms. Her face is tear-streaked, his a snarl of desperation. It's not a romantic embrace. It's the desperate, ugly clutch of two people whose world is burning down around them. They're in a compromising position, not of passion, but of mutual incrimination, their argument escalating, oblivious to the storm that has just broken around them. The private strategy session that was supposed to finalize the merger terms before the vote has become their public execution. The reporter's voiceover is breathless. Sources say Eleanor Thorne, wife of COO Julian Thorne, stormed the boardroom moments ago, alleging infidelity and an improper relationship with lead marketing executive Olivia Hayes. This on the very day of the crucial BS merger vote. I watch, a detached observer to my own life's demolition. Olivia's face when she finally spots Eleanor and the photographer is a grotesque rictus of horror. Julian actually tries to shield her, then seems to realize the futility, pushing her away as if she's suddenly contagious. The feed cuts out, replaced by a stunned news anchor. Sophia walks back into the room, a folder in her hand, her expression grimly triumphant. Well, she says, that escalated quickly. Eleanor Thorne is, shall we say, not taking this lying down. Apparently, Julian has a history, and this was the final straw. The photographer was her idea. Smart woman. So what now? I ask, my voice hoarse. Sophia sits down, opens the folder. Now we leverage. The merger is dead in the water, for today at least. Olivia's stock options, the ones she was so desperate to secure, their value is currently volatile, to say the least. But the original prenup stands. The adultery clause is now in full effect. She slides a document across the table. Based on their current pre-scandal evaluation and the clear evidence of infidelity directly impacting her professional standing and the company's stability, which we can argue it now has, you are entitled to 50% of her current BS stock value. Not the inflated post-merger value she was hoping for, but a very, very significant sum nonetheless. And that, Daniel, is before we even talk about the house, the shared assets. By 2 p.m., the news is everywhere. Blackwood & Sons stock is plummeting. Whispers of SEC investigations are starting. Julian Thorne and Olivia Hayes are radioactive. I lean back in the chair, the sterile scent of the law firm suddenly feeling like the cleanest air I've breathed in months. Olivia wanted to secure her future. She just inadvertently secured mine. She'd forgotten about that little clause, that little detail from 7 years ago, when we were young and in love and thought adultery was something that happened to other people. She forgot. It turns out, have an excellent memory for the fine print. This wasn't just a divorce. This was a hostile takeover of my own life. And for the first time, I felt like I was winning. The reversal is complete. She tried to blindside me, but I saw her coming a mile away. The call for an emergency board meeting at Blackwood & Sons comes through to Sophia at 3:15 p.m. They've requested my presence, not as a spouse, not as a victim, but as someone who, it appears, holds a rather significant number of cards. Sophia advises caution, but there's a glint in her eye that tells me she knows this is the kill shot. At 3:30 p.m., I stride into that same mahogany-lined boardroom that just hours ago was the stage for Eleanor Thorne's dramatic entrance. The atmosphere now is less chaotic, more funereal. The board members, a collection of grim-faced men and women who look like they haven't slept in days, are assembled around the long, polished table. Olivia and Julian are conspicuously absent. Good. Chairman Davies, a portly man whose face is currently the color of ash, gestures towards an empty chair. Mr. Preston, thank you for coming on such short notice. His voice is strained. Daniel, please, I say, taking the seat. I place a slim, innocuous-looking USB drive on the gleaming surface of the table. It lands with a small, decisive click. All eyes fix on it. We understand, Davies begins, clearing his throat, that you have information regarding Mr. Thorne and Miss Hayes. I do, I confirm. Information that goes beyond their personal indiscretions. Olivia chooses that precise moment to burst into the room, her lawyer, a harried-looking man I don't recognize, trailing in her wake. Her eyes are red-rimmed, her expensive suit rumpled. She looks like she's aged 10 years since this morning. When she sees the USB drive, her face, if possible, drains of even more color. She knows what it is, or at least she suspects. Daniel, what is the meaning of this? Davies asks, his gaze flicking from me to the USB, then to Olivia's stricken face. I lean back in my chair, my voice calm, measured. Ask your lead executive, Miss Hayes. I say, my eyes locking onto hers. Why she approved over 18 months of highly questionable expense reports for Mr. Thorne. Expense reports that, upon closer inspection, appear to be fraudulent. Those were legitimate business expenses. Olivia protests, her voice shrill, cracking. Her lawyer places a restraining hand on her arm. Were they? I pick up the USB drive. This drive contains scanned copies of every single one of those reports, cross-referenced with credit card statements and hotel folios. For example, the $47,000 in payments to a vendor called Global Strategic Solutions, a company that, according to state records, doesn't actually exist. Payments that coincide perfectly with Mr. Thorne's and your numerous out-of-town business trips. I continue, my voice relentless. These phantom vendor payments, approved by Ms. Hayes, were used to cover things like the presidential suite at the Ritz-Carlton in Maui, an interesting choice for a marketing campaign supposedly targeting Midwest farmers. Wouldn't you agree, Olivia? Or the multiple charges at high-end jewelry stores in New York, conveniently before Miss Thorne's birthday and your own, cleverly disguised as client gifts, of course. The outline mentioned jewelry for her boss's wife, and this fits. Julian was using company money, with Olivia's approval, to buy gifts for Eleanor to presumably cover his tracks, and likely for Olivia herself. A tangled web. A low murmur ripples around the boardroom. Davies looks like he's going to be physically ill. This is an outrage. Olivia sputters. He's twisting things. You're destroying my career over a personal vendetta. Over a mistake. I meet her gaze, my own cold and unyielding. A mistake, Olivia? 18 months of systematic fraud, of embezzling company funds to finance your affair with your boss? That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. A choice. Several hundred choices, in fact, each one initialed with your approval. I let that sink in. You destroyed our marriage over his promotion, over your ambition. It seems you were both quite comfortable destroying this company's integrity in the process too. Davies visibly pales further at the mention of the company's integrity. He picks up the USB drive as if it's a venomous snake. We'll need to review this internally, he manages, his voice weak. He plugs it into the laptop in front of him. The room is silent as he clicks through the files, his expression growing darker with each passing second. The merger vote, which was already indefinitely postponed, is now the least of their worries. The words SEC investigation and federal fraud charges hang unspoken in the air, but their presence is palpable. Davies finally looks up, his eyes hard. He looks at Olivia, then at her lawyer. Miss Hayes, given the gravity of these allegations and the potential legal ramifications for this company, the board requires your immediate resignation. And Mr. Thorne's. You have until 6 p.m. today to tender them quietly. If not, he doesn't need to finish the sentence. The threat is, resign or face not just public humiliation and career annihilation, but also the full force of a federal investigation alongside Julian. Olivia stares at him, then at me, her face a mask of disbelief and dawning horror. She thought the affair was the worst of it. She had no idea how deep the rot went, or how meticulously I traced it. Her ambition, her greed, her carelessness, they've all come home to roost. The second strike has landed, harder and more devastatingly than the first, and the game is almost over. The late afternoon sun casts long, accusing shadows across the stone steps of the county courthouse. It's 5:45 p.m., 15 minutes until Olivia's deadline to resign or face the music. A small crowd has gathered. Reporters, a couple of news vans, the vultures circling. They smell blood in the water, the delicious, scandalous downfall of two of the city's brightest corporate stars. Olivia arrives in a black town car, not the sleek Tesla she usually drives. That's a shared asset, soon to be mine. She looks small, diminished, clutching a single manila envelope to her chest like a shield. Her lawyer, looking even more harried than before, scurries beside her, trying to fend off the shouted questions and flashing cameras. This is it, the final act. Her public capitulation. I'm already there, standing near the top of the steps with Sophia, a silent, imposing presence. We're not here to gloat, not exactly. We're here to witness the final signature, the official end. Miss Hayes, is it true you've resigned? A reporter shouts. What about the allegations of embezzlement? Mr. Thorne's arrest this afternoon? Another calls out. Julian arrested? I hadn't heard that yet. A small, Cold smile touches my lips. Swift justice can be swift when the evidence is overwhelming. Olivia spots me, and her steps falter for a moment. I see a flicker of the woman I once loved, vulnerable, lost. Then it's gone, replaced by a brittle anger. She pushes past her lawyer, marching up the steps until she's standing directly in front of me, the resignation letter clutched in her trembling hand. You planned this. She hisses, her voice low, venomous, for my ears only, though the cameras are rolling, capturing her fury. All of it. The timing, the prenup, digging up all that. That dirt. You even got to Eleanor. Julian, didn't you? Turned her against him. I meet her gaze, unflinching. I planned for a life with you, Olivia. 7 years of it. I planned for honesty, for loyalty. You're the one who made other plans. Plans that involved him, lies, and apparently a significant amount of corporate theft. As for Eleanor, Sophia handled that with the utmost professionalism, simply taking on a new client who had her own valid reasons for seeking divorce. Eleanor needed no turning. Julian did that all by himself. This wasn't just a fling, Daniel. He understood my ambition. He supported me. She cries, her voice rising, attracting more attention. He supported you with stolen money, Olivia. He supported your mutual destruction. I glance at the resignation letter. And the affair, the betrayal of our marriage. That was 18 months, not a fleeting mistake. I have the receipts, remember? The hotel bills, the jewelry, the plane tickets. Each one a testament to your choices. I loved you, Daniel, she says, and for a horrifying second, I think she might actually believe it. Her eyes are wide, filled with a desperate sincerity that feels obscene given the circumstances. This whole thing with Julian, it just happened. Happened? I repeat, my voice incredulous. Like a spilled coffee? Like a misplaced file? No, Olivia, this was a calculated campaign of deceit. You actively chose to betray me every single day for 1.5 years. You chose to lie to my face while you were sleeping with him. You chose his career over our anniversary, over our vows. Tears are streaming down her face now, carving paths through her expensive foundation. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching me lose everything. You're destroying innocent people just to hurt me. Who are these innocent people she's referring to? Julian, the embezzler? Herself, the adulteress and accomplice? The shareholders they defrauded? Her delusion is breathtaking. The only innocent people here, Olivia, are the ones you and Julian victimized. His wife. The employees and investors of Blackwood and Sons. Me. My voice is hard, devoid of the pity she so desperately seeks. I'm not destroying anyone. I'm simply holding you accountable for your actions. You built this mess, Olivia, you and Julian. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see it. Sophia steps forward then, holding out a pen, a sleek silver Mont Blanc, and the divorce papers, already signed by me. Olivia, she says, her voice calm but firm, it's time. Olivia stares at the pen. Her breath hitches. I see the recognition in her eyes. It's the same Mont Blanc I gave her for our 3rd anniversary, a symbol of sophistication, of success. Now, a symbol of her undoing. Her hand shakes so violently she can barely take it. With a strangled sob, she snatches the pen and scrawls her signature across the documents, her name a jagged, angry scar on the page. The resignation letter flutters from her other hand, landing at my feet. As if on cue, a black car pulls up to the curb. 2 plainclothes detectives emerge, moving towards the disgraced figures of what used to be Blackwood and Sons power couple. But they only approach one. They flank Julian, who has just arrived looking utterly shell-shocked, his own lawyer looking even more defeated than Olivia's. They speak to him briefly, and then, with a chilling finality, they handcuff him. Julian Thorne, the charismatic COO, the man who had it all, is led away like a common criminal, his political ambitions, his family, his reputation, all in ruins. The cameras flash, a feeding frenzy. Olivia watches him go, her face blank, all the fight gone. She's a hollow shell. I bend down and pick up her resignation letter. You know, Olivia, I say quietly as the detectives guide Julian into their car, you were so worried about that prenup amendment, the one I shredded this morning. You should have paid more attention to the original we signed. The adultery clause is quite specific and quite generous to me. Her head snaps up, a new, dawning horror in her eyes. The house is mine. I continue, my voice devoid of malice, stating simple facts. The Tesla is mine. And 50% of your pension fund, once it's all calculated, that's mine too. You forgot the details, Olivia, but I remembered everything. She just stares at me, speechless, as the reality of her utter devastation finally, completely sinks in. The courthouse steps, once a symbol of justice, have become the stage for her complete and utter ruin. And as the sun dips below the city skyline, casting the scene in a dramatic fading light, I feel nothing but a cold, clean sense of closure. The performance is over. A CNN reporter, a young woman with bright, inquisitive eyes and a microphone thrust forward, manages to break through the cordon of courthouse security and Sophia's protective stance. Mr. Preston, any comment on today's dramatic events? On your wife's resignation and Mr. Thorne's arrest? I turn, offering a calm, almost serene smile that I don't entirely feel but project with architectural precision. Some anniversaries, I say, my voice carrying clearly above the receding din of camera shutters and distant sirens, are simply worth remembering in full detail. I let the words hang, a perfect, pointed epitaph to a marriage and 2 careers. Olivia doesn't even look back as she's guided by her lawyer into a waiting, decidedly downmarket rental. A Honda Civic, if I'm not mistaken, a far cry from the gleaming silver Tesla she so proudly drove, the one currently parked in my garage, soon to be legally and solely mine once the divorce finalizes in 60 days, along with the house, the art collection we, or rather I, had so carefully curated, and a significant portion of what remains of her once impressive financial portfolio. She forgot our anniversary, the day we pledged our lives to each other. In the end, that was her most critical oversight, because I remembered the implications of every clause we'd ever signed. 6 months later, the dust hasn't so much settled as it has been swept away by the relentless winds of change and consequence. I'm standing on a plot of land in the Colorado Rockies, the crisp mountain air sharp and clean in my lungs, a stark contrast to the stale, recycled air of city boardrooms and broken homes. Spread out on the hood of my truck are blueprints, not for a corporate skyscraper, but for a sprawling, light-filled mountain retreat, my retreat. Sophia is beside me, not in her power suit and killer heels, but in jeans and hiking boots, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, a smudge of dirt on her cheek. After the dust settled on Olivia's and Eleanor Thorne's respective and rather spectacular divorce settlements, the largest adultery clause-triggered windfalls in state history, apparently, Sophia had an epiphany. Corporate law, she decided, was far less interesting, far less pure, than the elegant lines of mountain architecture. She'd taken a sabbatical, then a leap, and was now my very enthusiastic, if somewhat nervous, design consultant and project manager. Turns out the strategic mind that could dismantle a hostile legal opponent was also remarkably adept at sourcing reclaimed timber and debating the merits of passive solar heating. We're not a couple, not in the romantic sense. We're partners, allies, survivors who found a new blueprint for our lives in the wreckage of others. Olivia, from what I hear through the grapevine, which is mostly Sophia's dry, factual updates, landed a job in retail in Phoenix, selling high-end handbags to women who probably remind her of who she used to be. The irony isn't lost on me. Her LinkedIn profile, once a gleaming testament to her meteoric rise in marketing, is now conspicuously blank. Her appeals to the board for any kind of severance were, unsurprisingly, denied. The SEC investigation into Blackwood & Sons is ongoing, though the company itself, under new leadership, is slowly, painfully trying to recover. Julian Thorne is currently residing in a minimum security federal prison, appealing his wire fraud and embezzlement conviction. His sentence was lenient thanks to a plea deal, but his political aspirations are ash, his reputation irrevocably shredded. Eleanor Thorne, on the other hand, is thriving. She took her substantial divorce settlement, a figure that made even Sophia whistle, and bought a charming little vineyard in Napa Valley. She sends Sophia artisanal cheese and bottles of surprisingly good Cabernet. Apparently, vengeance, much like wine, can mellow and improve with age. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about that night. The shattered champagne bottle, the cold dinner, the raw, agonizing betrayal. It's a scar, no doubt, one that will likely always be there. but it no longer aches with the same intensity. It's a reminder not of pain, but of resilience, of the strength I didn't know I had until I was forced to find it. The best revenge, I've learned, isn't loud or fiery. It's quiet. It's building a new life, a better life, on the foundations of the old. It's living well, breathing clean air, designing something beautiful and lasting while those who wronged you are left to navigate the considerably smaller, harsher landscapes of their own making. They are learning to live with less. Less money, less status, less integrity. She forgot our anniversary, the day we pledged our lives to each other. In the end, that was her most critical oversight, because I remembered everything else. Every promise, every lie, every clause, every detail. And in remembering, I found my way out.